Earlier this month, I moved into a new apartment due to not being able to afford my previous apartment, because inflation sucks. My new apartment is, like I said, completely new, and it has an in-unit washer and dryer plus a dishwasher. It's a one-bedroom, and it only costs $800 a month. I mean, seriously? It can't get any better than this. However, there is one slight, teeny tiny issue. Ever since arriving here, every single night, I'm woken up by whistles at exactly 12:34 a.m. By exactly, I mean on the dot. When I heard it, I wanted to go outside to see who it was, but decided against it because I need my beauty sleep. So, anyway, at first, I assumed it was one of my neighbors. I went and knocked on their doors, and they all said it wasn't them. Their expressions did change when I asked, though. They got more serious, almost. I'm not sure why, but they did say it wasn't them and they seemed serious about it, so I really don't think it's them. Did I press my ear against my wall when the whistling started to be absolutely sure? Maybe I did. It was interfering with my precious sleep, so I opted for earplugs. Then, to be 100% sure, I asked a friend of mine to come over. They slept soundly until 12:34 a.m. when they practically jumped out of bed and asked if I heard it. I obviously said yes. They wanted to go outside to investigate. I told them not to. Had to physically pull them back into the one bedroom, lock the door, and told them to go back to sleep. They pouted and whined and groaned, but finally fell asleep. When I awoke, they were still asleep. Thank goodness. "Hey," I stated, touching their shoulder gently and shaking them. "Hmm?" they asked in a daze before opening their eyes. "Oh, is it morning already?" "Yeah, you should probably get breakfast or something. I'm going to be staying in today." "Can't I stay a little while longer?" "Sorry, you can't. I have work." They ended up leaving. I ended up working a couple of hours and goofing off the rest of the hours. But then my mind went back to last night. It still weirded me out that my friend wanted so badly to go out and see who was whistling, to the point where I had to wrestle them back. I knocked on a neighbor's door once more. The old lady opened the door and waved. "Hello, how are you? Still having trouble sleeping?" "Hi, I'm doing well." I moved a hand to itch the back of my neck awkwardly. "Sort of. I use earplugs now. I had a friend over last night, and they wanted to check out whoever was whistling. It was weird." A frown settled on her face before she glanced quickly down both sides of the hall. She leaned in. Her voice hushed. "You need to ignore it." She swallowed hard, glancing around again. "You need to ignore the whistling you hear. Do you understand?" "I have been ignoring it. But why?" "The more you listen to the whistling, the stronger the urge to go outside gets. If your willpower is weak like your friend's was, then it can take only one time of listening to the whistling to succumb." "But why? Why is going outside a bad thing?" "That's how it gets you." "It?" "Yes, it. If you go out, it'll replace you. It'll take you and take your skin. Look like you. Talk like you. But it's not you. And if it gets inside your house once, it gets access for life. It can get you that way too." She licked her lips quickly, looking as if she wanted to say more, when another door opened. "Hey." A man in his late 20s greeted me, and I waved. He then directed his attention to the woman. "Are you feeling okay, Miss Tanner?" She swallowed hard, nodding a little. "I feel just fine, Mark. Thank you. I think I'll go, actually. Don't want to hold you up." She closed the door quickly. Mark closed his too. Weird. But hey, $800 a month. I went back into my apartment. I searched high and low for my earplugs. They were nowhere to be found. I know I couldn't have somehow misplaced them. 12:34 a.m., right on the dot, whistling right outside my apartment door. It sounded like my friend. But they didn't go outside because we both fell asleep. Right? The doorknob started to rattle as the whistling got louder. I heard a soft click. I'm hiding in my room. I locked the door, but this doorknob is rattling too, and the whistling is low and frantic, and I don't know what to... I am so sorry for writing all this. As stated, I've been pretty sleep deprived. My brain must be making things up as always. Again, I'm sorry for this weird, frantic rambling. I was incorrect about everything, as was the woman. Please know that it is 100% safe to listen to the whistles at 12:34 a.m. Please know that it is 100% safe to go outside and to invite someone into your home at that time as well. And if you live in my building, please feel free to stop by for a chat at exactly 12:34 in the morning. My boyfriend works late hours, and when I know he's on his way to my house, I'll sit and wait for him in the kitchen to greet him. The main door is in front of me while the back porch one is behind me. He tends to come through that one so my dog doesn't bark. He called me a few minutes ago and said he just left work and he's on his way. So I did my normal routine and sat at the kitchen table scrolling on my phone until I got the "I'm outside" text. After a few minutes of scrolling, I heard his voice. The only light outside of my house was the porch light, so I look out of the kitchen window and nobody's there. "Baby, come outside." Normally his voice is reassuring and welcoming, but I had a terrible feeling and decided to call his cell phone. His phone is a track phone that he buys service for, so sometimes it simply rings twice, which is what it did, every time I called. Eventually I gave up and stepped into the back porch to look outside. Maybe his phone died and he needed me to unlock the door for him. I could feel my heart drop when I remembered the door was unlocked. I start to text him asking him to answer his phone, but while I'm doing this, the voice turns from a gentle tone to an angry one. It yelled my full name and told me to come outside. My boyfriend never calls me by my full name, and at this point I'm starting to feel scared. I looked outside and it now knows that I'm not in the kitchen and that I looked out of the back porch window. I call him again. After what felt like hours, he answered in a concerned way, apologizing because his phone was on vibrate as well as it not working. "Why are you telling me to come outside?" Those were the first words I said. There was an immediate silence over the line. "What do you mean? I'm just now on your road." He sounded worried, but I could tell he thought I was pranking him. The voice was getting angrier by the second. It cussed at me and eventually started banging on the door. It was so loud that even my boyfriend could hear it through the phone. I heard the car speed up, then the sound of gravel from him pulling into my driveway. I finally mustered up the courage to move the curtain and see if there was really anyone there. There was nothing there, but I could see him running up the stairs to get to me. Once he got in, the voice and the banging came to a complete stop. I stood shaken while he looked around my yard only to see a deer running away on its hind legs, just for the front two to hit the ground in front of it as it went into the nearby woods. We didn't sleep much that night, and eventually we plan on moving somewhere that's closer to the city, as my house is out of the way from any other people.